Hey, this is Meridith, Elliott, Powell, and once again, it is 9 a.m. Eastern Saturday morning, and you know what time that means. It is time for Sales Logic. So I'm hanging out here with my partner, Mark Hunter, and what you all need to know about Mark is he is standing in his studio, which is the last part of his big move he's got to make. He's got a new house, a new home, all that. We're excited for you, Mark.
Don't even have a coffee pot, so I had to stop at Starbucks on the way over here this morning.
Well, you know it's serious when you've moved the coffee pot because we all know how much you love coffee.
Really? Really? I didn't know that.
Well, we've got a really good show planned for today. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this video and let's go ahead and dive in.
Prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
This is Sales Logic.
This is Sales Logic, the show where we dive into the strategies, discuss the steps, everything that you need to know to sell more effectively and, well, more logically. This is how the show works. Every Saturday morning we come to you, and the format is we start off with a question from you, the audience. That's right. We want you to be active and engaged in Sales Logic. So if you have a question, put it in the chat. Put it in, send it to saleslogicpodcast.com. We cover a hot topic, we highlight a book, and just so that you leave with return on investment, we have a lightning round, strategies for sales that you can put into effect immediately. So Mark, what is on tap for today?
Well, on tap for today, we're going to be talking about the cold call. Cold call. Whoa, hold on. The topic is the cold call dead? If not, how to make an effective one in today's new virtual sales world. So that's the topic, but let's first get to the question. And the question comes to us from Gabriela in Venezuela, and we continue to get downloads. People are subscribing to the podcast world over. It's great. She asked, I'm starting a new division for my company. We have no existing customers. A brand new product line for us, and I have 4 brand new salespeople, all of them skilled, but not at selling this product per se or to this target market. In order to hit our numbers, we're going to have to cold call. I have been in sales for years, so I'm wondering, how has cold calling changed? Is it still the right way to open a new market? How do I direct my sales team? And as we get into this, it's going to be kind of interesting because this comes from Venezuela, and cold calling takes on different meaning in different areas of the world. So we're going to have kind of a fun time dissecting.
Yeah, you know, Mark, that was something I thought was so interesting because Venezuela is in a part of the world where they're used to doing things in person. And it's very, very, very relationship focused. We got a hot audience this morning. So I really want to encourage the audience to weigh in on what you think about cold calling. And right now, keep it in line with the question. What we're talking about is you've got to open a new market. You've got to open you don't have any existing customers. There's a couple of thoughts I have here. Number one is you are a division of a larger company. So that is basically where I would start. Is there any alignment? And I imagine there is, because it's rare that a company starts a division that isn't at least have some complementary association with other divisions. So are there any warm leads you can go after at all? And it's like, might not even be a very warm lead, but anybody who has done business with your company before is a really, really good place to start.
See, this is what I call, it's not so much a cold call as an informed call. Now let's stop and ask yourselves what this means. Hey, go to your existing customer base. What's in your CRM system from other divisions and so forth, just as Meridith was talking about. But Gabriela, you bring up something good. What is our target market? You've got to understand who your target market is. To think that you're just going to kind of go through the phone book. Gee, do they even print those anymore? and just dial A through Z. No, that's not dial. Wow, that's an old term.
Yeah, right. You just dated yourself.
Or walk through an apartment building or go through a commercial office strip and go door to door. No, those days are gone. I mean, I really hate to say it. Those days are pretty much gone. But what it means is I have to understand who is my target market. And when I understand my target market, the closer I get to that, and then my objective is to understand what's the outcome. What's the outcome I create for them? That's where your message has to be right from the get-go in terms of any kind of cold calling, because people don't really wake up in the morning and say, wow, I really hope Meridith Elliott Powell calls me and tells me about how wonderful she is. Okay, maybe you have peeps that do that. I don't. Okay, just saying. But I mean, we have to be able to right away be able to be asking the customer and engaging the customer on something that's relevant to them. That's the outcome. That's the outcome.
Gabriella, I would also start with, since it's a brand new division for this company, begin by reaching out to your ICP, as Bonnie piped in here. Bonnie says that Mark is the maestro of cold calling, and he is the maestro of cold calling. And the moment that you said ideal target market, she said ICP, because that is Mark Hunter language. But the moment that you identify that, the moment that you get clarity on the target market, and this is for anybody getting ready to cold call into a market, there's a couple of things you need to do. Number one is start by reaching out to interview that ideal target market, your ideal. If you can't start to make cold calls until you understand what the market needs. And you can do research until you're blue in the face. And that's going to give you some good information, but there's nothing more valuable than actually talking to customers, people who could potentially use the product. And so you start out by saying, I mean, I did this about a month ago. I had the new area that I want to start speaking in, and I've never spoken in that industry before. So rather than just start making cold calls into the industry, I just reached out to a few people in the industry and said, I'd like to start speaking in the industry. I think that my topic is relative, but I'd like to understand the industry a little bit better. Would you spend some time talking to me? Now, there's a lot of power in that. Number one, I got a job from it, right? Because if you ask for advice, you get a job. If you ask for a job, you get advice. So I got business that way. But more importantly than getting business, I learned what some of my competitors are not delivering and where my opportunity is in the marketplace. And then I learned out of the mouths of those customers what problems I need to solve or what opportunities I need to help them achieve, which is my way to get into the market. People do business with you because you understand them, not because they understand you.
There's a lot of powerful things that you just said in that, and it's really, really cool. You know what also is that you increase your own level of confidence. Gabriella, this is so key for your new salespeople, but for any salespeople. You're making cold calls or you're making informed calls, as I like to call them. It's if you have to have a level of confidence. And the more you understand your ICP, the more you understand your target market, the more you understand who you're calling and the outcomes you create, the more confident you become. And your confidence really begins to come through in the phone calls. Here's what happens. You listen better. You ask better questions. You really begin to understand. And as a result, you're able to carry on that conversation. You made the comment that you wanted to get into a new area. So you call somebody asking for advice and you got a job. But what's very interesting is that advice you got fuels every other phone call you make. And undoubtedly, as you were getting that advice, it was fueling your own level of confidence. Not that you need more confidence. You're a pretty confident individual. Just saying. Yeah.
But you can always have more.
Exactly, because it's educational confidence. Because the confidence isn't cocky, it's educational in terms of understanding the industry. And when you do that, it's amazing what happens. And I'm going to chime in here on something else, Gabrielle. And for anybody else, you're making you're starting out a new area, new focus, and you want to be zeroed in on closing sales. But early on, you have to set your goals accordingly. Your goals are just the number of contacts you're making, the number of conversations you're having, the number of repeat. In other words, the follow-up calls you're able to make. You have to set your goals accordingly. If all you do is set your goals on, I'm going to close X number of sales, you are probably going to get very demotivated because you got to fill the pipeline, and it's step by step along the way.
Yeah. Mark, you bring up something great, and I'd love to know what Jack Hubbard thinks of this. I know he's with us this morning, but if I had 4 new salespeople at least, and we're opening a new division and we were going to be cold calling, everything that Mark said about confidence is so important. I really believe that people are buying the energy that is coming off of us. You better role play. You really need to practice this through. How are you going to approach the customer? What are you going to say? Because people need to feel comfortable in their skin. And I know that with the moment that we say role play, you just feel the energy just suck right out of the room, right? I mean, nobody loves to role play, but anybody who's any good at anything practices. I got up this morning and I went over to the racket club and I hit tennis balls at 6:00 this morning. And I did that not because I wanted to go do it, but because if I don't continually hit the tennis ball, when I have a match, I'm not going to be able to play very well. And I don't always want to do it, but you do it. And it's the same with the role play.
And of course, this is the person who was at a tennis camp last weekend for a couple of days. So I'm just saying somebody's obsessed with tennis and golf, but that's okay. Now, here's a couple of things, though. Think about this. Role play. It does freak people out. In fact, I was with a company this past week, and we set up a contest for everybody to role play, and they had to videotape their role play. What was very interesting was the high performers, the people who'd been around, they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do it. But you know what's interesting? Tom Brady doesn't say that when he takes the field. Mm-hmm. He happens to be a football player. Okay. So I know unless it's golf and tennis, you can't relate to it, but he happens to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He takes the practice field every day. Every day he takes the practice field. He gets his role plays in. You see, think about this. Don't think for a moment that you can't role play or you shouldn't role play or no. Professional athletes, you went and hit balls this morning. What were you doing? You were getting your reps in, because that's the other thing. You're exercising the muscle. You're exercising that muscle, and that is so critically important. I tell new sales teams, you know what you want to do? You want to start off the first 15 or 20 minutes of the day just role playing amongst yourselves before you begin making calls. It's just like you're taking the practice field. It's just like the warm up before the game. What does that do? It gets you in the groove and ready. Hey, you got a comment up there from Bill.
Yeah, I love this.
Jump into it.
Yeah, Bill, thanks. This is great advice for Gabriella. I mean, once you complete your intelligence gathering and pulling warm leads, then develop a cadence. Cold email appointment setter, get the sales rep to move along in that. Yeah, it's kind of back, right, Bill, to what Mark has said. Don't focus on the close. Focus on getting in the door. Jack Hubbard has chimed in with us too. So think of it as real play, since they will be doing the calls. Agree so much with the practice. Oh, I love that. Changing it from a role play to a real play. I mean, I think the thing we so often miss about sales is that we're so worried about what we're going to say that we forget about the fact that it really is. If we believe in what we're doing, if we're confident in what we're saying, then the customer will be that too. I had a friend of mine in the speaking industry say that that you have to, the longest 18 inches is from your head to your heart. And if you're speaking out of your head, you're not speaking with confidence and people don't buy into it. But speaking out of your heart means it's just flowing out of you and you believe in it. And that comes from confidence and that comes from practice. And while I know this isn't direct with a cold call, Gabriella, I would not put those people on the street, figuratively or literally, until they are confident in what they are doing.
Oh, so much to be said. We're kind of transitioning here into the topic. Great comments coming in. If we don't get everybody's comments up there, apologize. We're going to try to get as many as we can in. Here's something to think about from this whole how to make an effective cold call. You have to go back to the comment we had, cadence. It is going to be a series of steps. Don't think you're going to make one cold call and suddenly, boom, Shazam, they're going to buy. No, it's not going to happen. The initial cold call that you're making is designed to do two things. One, I just want to create a little piece of relationship with you to learn one piece of new information, and I want to gain a next step. That's it. That's it. And I'm going to continue to repeat this process and move you through. As you like to say, Meredith, the sale is in the follow-up.
It's always in the follow-up.
That is what prospecting is all about. It's about follow-up. You're going to be making 10, 15, 20 connections with this person before they may ultimately buy from you. And that's okay. That's okay. Here's the key thing. You don't pick up the phone or you don't go door to door and say, hi, I'm so great. I've won all these awards. Who really cares? You have to, right out of the chute, engage the person in a question that is relevant to them. That's what you have to do, because otherwise they're not going to give you the time of day, because they're not expecting your call, whether it be on the phone, whether it be an email, whether it be in person. How many times have you received an email that somebody says, hi, I want to introduce myself and I'm da-da-da-da-da? You're like, no. Same thing with a voicemail. No. It's got to be concise and tight, relevant to you.
Yeah, I love this question that we've come in. I'm going to apologize because I'm probably going to pronounce your name wrong. Afalabi. I hope that I got near it. This is such a good question. Everybody, she said, I have a question. I once made a cold call to a client. While on the call, he asked how I got his number. I went cold before mumbling some phrase saying I got his contact from my boss. It didn't work though. Cold calls don't work here in Nigeria. Okay. Number one, first of all, you know what? You screwed up a call. Big deal. This is the type of thing you take back with your team and you role play. What do we do when this happens? Mark and I could do an entire hour on everything that we have done in a sales call that hasn't worked or hasn't gone right, or when we've frozen or whatever. It's a learning opportunity. The second is be authentic, be transparent. Tell them where you got their number from. I bought a list. We really want to work in this industry. So I bought a list of the best in the business that we should reach out and we should contact. Be honest, be transparent. But the truth is, you're going to get into a situation with a call. A customer is going to ask you a question. You're not going to know the answer to it, or you're going to say something stupid. That's fine. It's a learning opportunity. Take it back into a role play. I'm going to argue that cold calling doesn't work in Nigeria. Now, in full disclosure, I have never made phone calls into Nigeria. But if the phone doesn't work for you, there's nothing wrong with a cold email. And one of the most important things that you can put into a cold email is social proof. The problem with a cold call is I don't know who you are, and I don't know why I should take an interest in you. So in a cold call or a cold email, there's two things you want to do. Number one is you want to show that you understand the industry. And I got this from sales guru Ian Altman. He always says, we do a lot of research into your industry, and these are the issues we understand are most pressing. That shows I've done my homework. It makes me less cold. The second piece is I always use a testimonial high in the email, as Mark said, concise, of the work I do, more importantly, the results I got for somebody. Think about being in the seat of the person who is getting the message. Why should they respond to you? If you understand their industry and you have proof that you've gotten results, you just increased your ability. Go, Mark.
One of the questions that I love to say is, so why are you calling me? You don't have my, I said, hey, I work with a lot of others just like you to help them solve issues or something of that manner. In other words, this is your statement of proof. I've worked with others. We work with other companies in your industry. When you say you bought a list, well, you probably bought a list of people who are in certain types of businesses, certain types of companies. So you sit there and say, I'm calling you because I've got some ideas that I want to share with you. I'd like to share with you. And you can always share something. Here's the whole thing, key thing. If somebody gets upset at you, somebody hangs up on you. I don't know about you, but I have never seen a headline in a newspaper, old school, or seen anything on social media or any news website that says, cold caller lost an arm, cold caller shot, cold caller stabbed. I have never seen a cold caller lose a drop of blood. No animals have been harmed. No children have been, put at risk. It's okay. It's okay. I simply say this: if somebody hangs up on me, fine. It's okay. I'm going to move on to the next call. And I look at it this way. They have chosen not to respond to me because you know what? I don't know what's going on in their life. They may have an absolutely difficult situation that they're dealing with right now. And I just happen to call at the right time. Similar to like a car, you're driving through an intersection, you have the green light, and a car runs the red light and T-bones you. Okay. It's just one of those things. Just get over it and move on. And then call your insurance company too.
Well, I would say if somebody hangs up on you, you didn't add enough value. You didn't give them a reason to talk to you. I love what Jack is saying here because it goes really in tandem so much with what Alpha Lobby was asking about, is that practice is good, but perfect practice is better. When a sales call fails, don't look at it as a failure. Really take that sales call back to your team and say, I want to talk to you about, I picked this client because I thought they were a good call. I made the call. Here's what happened. It wasn't effective. What does everybody else think? And get them to weigh in on it because, oh my gosh, what Jax is saying here is so important. I can go over to the club and I can hit tennis balls all day long, but if I'm hitting them wrong, it doesn't matter. I need to be working on my technique when I'm doing that. It's the same thing in a role play. And that's the value of having your partners, your other salespeople weighing in, telling you how to do it better. And you're absolutely right. That is exactly why you want to role play. Exactly why you want to role play. I'm going to start calling it real play like Jack does.
I love that. And when you also have a good call, take a moment to dissect why that was a good call. What worked right? Again, we always say, "Oh, I want to focus on no, don't focus on your failure. Focus on your success too." Wow, it is amazing the amount of chat we have got coming in because I tell you what, this is a real critical issue. Here's the whole thing though that I can't stress enough. You have to remain consistent and focused. I see too many people, what they do is they jump into cold. Oh, we got to fill the pipeline. So they're making some calls. They're trying to get some stuff. And then a little piece of business comes along and they go, wow, it's great. It's great. No, you have to be consistent. I would hope that you take a shower every day. I'm asking the listening audience. I hope you take a shower every day. And think about that. Why do you do that? Because it's part of personal hygiene. It's the same thing with prospecting. It is a muscle that needs to be exercised and it needs to be cared for daily. You do it daily. And don't think for a moment that you can fall off, not make calls for a month, and then suddenly step back in. No, it's consistent. Consistent focus is going to win the day when it comes to prospecting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, a couple other comments here. I want to make this one because Mark, I know it's in alignment. You and Jack are in complete alignment with this. Best time to make the call is between 7:30, 8:30 on Mondays and 4:30 and 5:30 on Fridays. Jack, you and Mark are in total alignment on that. Catching people when other people aren't willing to make the call.
Oh, thank you, Jack. I always say Friday afternoon is especially Friday afternoons in the summer. Friday afternoons in the summer is when everybody kind of shuts down. Yeah. I have my best phone calls Friday afternoons in the summer because those who are working are really the committed people, and they're willing to have that conversation. So, wow, it's powerful. Yeah. Hey, we should kind of jump into the book.
Yes.
And it's kind of a cool book, right?
Well, it really went. I was sitting there thinking about which book we should highlight this week, and in a bit of selfishness, I decided to highlight my own because it deals very much with the cold call. How do you move it from identifying the prospect to making the cold call to having the conversation to not only closing the deal, but turning that customer into an advocate. And it's my book, 30 Days for Sales Success. As you can see, it's not really a very big book. Every chapter is no more than 600 words, but it is everything that you need to do, from defining your target market to getting through the door, to having the conversation, to closing the deal, to creating the referral sources. So it kind of went in alignment with, it's in its third printing, by the way.
And oh, by the way, I have not done an Amazon review, but that's going to be corrected. May not be corrected today because of a move, but it will be corrected before Monday. Okay.
Yeah. Mark, I want to say one thing before we go into the lightning round, because I know that our audience today is here thinking about making cold calls. And I hope that we have sort of shifted your head, because the cold call certainly isn't dead, but it has definitely shifted and definitely changed. I want you to think about, before you make a cold call, a couple of things. Number one, what is your reputation in your marketplace? Mark is legendary for saying your reputation arrives before you do. But if people have not heard of you, they will Google you. And if they have heard of you, the chances they will answer that phone is better. Number two, show that you understand the industry. Offer the fact that you take Ian Altman's line, which is just gold. We do a lot of work in the industry. This is what we understand the issues are. I assume you probably have these issues too. Those are really going to get you there. And then use social proof.
I love it. I love it. Hey, there's so much we can add to this.
Yes.
And oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, you wrote the book 30 Days to Sales Success.
Mm-hmm.
I have a book coming out this next week, 29 Days to Sales Success.
Okay, great.
Hey, let's jump into the lightning round. Top 10 ways to sell into a new market.
Top 10 ways. Number one, start by doing your research. Know the market.
2, create an ICP, ideal customer profile. Get as tight and as specific as you can and never deviate from that.
Reach out and interview people in the market. Think about who are the influencers, who dominates the market. Don't look to sell anything, but go out and interview those people.
As you do that, create the outcomes you create. We talk about features and benefits. I can't stand that term. I can't stand those two words. I like to use outcomes. How is the customer going to benefit from buying from you? Get that list together. Understand that.
Yeah, build your reputation in the marketplace. Once you understand what the problems are in the particular target market, the biggest challenges they're facing, get yourself out there with articles, get yourself out there with videos, start to show that you have the information to solve the problems.
Time block. Can't stress it enough. You have to set aside time every day to be prospecting. That is prospecting time, where you are physically in the game, reaching out to those new informed contacts.
Yeah, play the long game. Mark said this when we were talking about it. This is not an instant gratification. It's not going to happen overnight. Play the long game.
And as you play the long game, set your goals accordingly. First couple of weeks, it might be just X number of calls you're making. Then you might move up to X number of conversations you're having, X number of repeat calls you're having. But you have to set your goals accordingly to exercise your muscle to stay in the game.
Yeah, I would say build referral sources. Go out and find out who already has reputation in the marketplace, who already has a big following, and take them to lunch, take them to dinner, and work to form those relationships so you can shortcut getting into the market.
Work on that opening line. That opening line is one of engagement. It is not, hey, look at me, I'm so wonderful. It is, hey, I have new information for you relative to X or something of that nature, but it has to engage right out of the chute.
Go back to your existing customers and your existing contacts and look for the connections into the new market. It is very rare that that you don't already know somebody who has a good relationship with somebody that you're trying to call on in a new market. You may think it's brand new, but the truth is you probably already have connections into it.
Don't ever use the line, I'm just checking in. I'm sorry, I'm not a hotel. I don't have a room for you. I hate those kind of stupid games that people play when it comes to prospecting, cold calling.
All right. I've got one more. You've got one more. My last piece of advice for getting into into a new market is that you need to understand that you've got a network. You need to know where the target market goes to build their relationships and their connections. That networking needs to be the first part of building those important relationships.
Your level of confidence is going to determine your level of success. If you're not framed, if your mental mind is not framed up right, you will have little chance succeeding when it comes to prospecting, when it comes to cold calling. Hey, great show, great number of comments. We didn't get them all up here. Apologize on the screen, but you can go out to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. They're all out there. We want to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, hey, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend, because it's how we grow to help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
all of this uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical.
All right. We will see you right here next week, 9 a.m. Eastern, for another episode of Sales Logic. Mark will be coming to us from his brand new studio in his brand new home in Dallas, Texas. In the meantime, if you have questions, you have book ideas, you have anything that you want to share with us that you want featured on Sales Logic, send it to saleslogicpodcast.com. And last but not least, cannot thank you enough. You are the best audience ever. Smart, engaged. Thank you so much for your ideas today and all of your questions. We'll see you right back here next week.